Big shout out to the Danger DIYers out there. Today we're going to tackle a DIY project of replacing a pool pump. And so during the Texas winter storm, the pool pump that was on there before ended up blowing out and freezing and cracking, and so it needs to be replaced. $600 for a replacement Pentair pump for the WhisperFlo. And so while looking on Amazon, I found a $250 replacement from a company called VivoHome. And so we bought that, and we're going to get that installed today and see how it works. Going to go over the wiring and also the physical installation of it, and making sure that everything is as it needs to be, and see whether or not it's a good replacement for the Pentair 2 horsepower pump. So this is a 2 horsepower pump. Let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. All right, so let's get this thing unboxed here. And just taking this out. It's the 2 horsepower model. And it's going to come with everything you need as far as the couplers that it's going to need to go on it. There's going to be 2 of those in the box. And it's going to come with your leaf basket or filter, and the top as well. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to switch this over to 220 volts. And so let's go ahead and get started on that. So the 220 volt switch is here. I'm just going to take off these 2 screws. And just move that over to 220. And you don't have to take it all the way off. And just put it right back on when you're done. Now obviously this has a 110 volt cord on it, as you can see. And that's not going to work for us, so we're going to need to take that off. And so to do that, we're going to remove these screws here to get to the back. And it'll just come right off like that. Now this other piece down here is still connected for the 240 volt thing. But as you can see here, all we need to do is trace these wires back to where they go and replace these connections. And so as you can see, one goes up right here from this cord, and the other one goes right below it. So these 2 are the connections that you're going to need to replace. Now, you'd be like, well, where does the 240 go? Well, it goes right here. So it's the same lines. And so it's just going to be 110 volt and 110 volt instead of 110 in neutral. And so that's the way that's going to work. The ground wire is still going to connect right here, where you can see. Now, there's 2 ways you can do that. If this cord is long enough, you can actually go ahead and just cut it and then strip it and use the wiring from here. I'd go ahead and put it in a conduit. You don't have to, but I would recommend that. The other thing you can do is you can run this back to a junction box and wire it inside of that. And that might be a way to do it as well. What I'm going to be doing is just replacing this cord completely. And so rather than covering that, all I'm going to do is go ahead and remove it for now. So let me go grab a wrench, and I will be right back. Let's move that down. And then these have to come off here. Anyway, so they pull straight out there. Those run pretty good, but they do just come off. And then you just rinse these wires, or feed those wires through there and through there. And then we have the 110 volt cord off. Let's cover a couple more things real quick. This is a 1.5 inch opening here. And so that is going to need to be something that you have a 1.5 inch pipe going to for the coupler. So when you do this, this pipe right here requires a 1.5 inch joint. And so we'll go down to the pool, and I won't cover the cementing of the PVC. It's pretty straightforward. We'll just go down to the pool. I'll get this all installed, and we'll go from there. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to the pool and let's get this installed. Working on electricity is dangerous, and not disconnecting power before working on electrical wiring could lead to serious injury or death. Please be sure to disconnect all power lines and double check them to make sure they're off with a multimeter. If you are unsure about working with electricity, hire a licensed electrician to complete the wiring on this DIY. So for moment of truth, I've got everything hooked up, wiring done. So what I did is I just ran this conduit through here and then ran that back to a box right here on the wall. So that's just a run that goes all the way through there and in there, and wired just like I showed you all in the video. Now I didn't hook up the ground to the bounding equipment for the pool. You should do that. I just didn't. None of my other stuff is bonded here, and it was all hooked up by electricians previously, so I didn't do that. As you can hear, the pool's running really quietly, and we're running on the pump here about under 10 psi, so it's running very well as far as that's concerned. Now, a long time ago I upgraded using this flexible PVC pipe. It has a few things about it nuanced that you'll want to do, like making sure that it's well bonded before you try to work with anything else, but it works really, really well. As I mentioned, these are 1.5, so I had to use some union joints to bring it down to 1.5, but everything, as you can see, is working really well. There's no leaks, it's all working good. I used a little bit of Teflon tape under each of these to finish that up, and it's good to go. That should be it for the motor install. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on them, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So as you can see, after not having the pool pump running for a few days, it looks pretty bad, but hopefully the new pump, which is working really well, will get this water cleaned up, and everything will be back to normal in no time regarding the pristine look of the pool. Thanks again for watching another edition of Danger DIY. I appreciate any comments or feedback you have. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask, but I'll be happy to answer them. And if you have any suggestions on how I could do something better or something I should include in future videos, please let me know and I'll make sure to do it. And so I better go grab a brush and start brushing the sides of the pool, and let's get this thing cleaned up and ready for summer. So just a recap on the wiring. The two conductors that are either going to be 110 in neutral or 110 and 110 are going to connect to these two locations on the inside of the motor housing. As you can see here, there's a magnified view to the right, and then there's the overall view on the left. If you notice the ground lug on top as your reference point, and then that wiring center is right below that. Anyway, if you're not comfortable with wiring AC electrical, definitely get an electrician to do this for you. But before doing anything, always make sure the power is turned off at the breaker, and double check that with a multimeter.